Colombia. Magic, beauty, jungle, life, coastline, mountains, beaches, and not remotely least of all, birds. Globally renowned as home to the most species of birds on the planet, sitting at over 1,960 species. That's almost 20% of the global total. The lush mountainous cloud forests, deep jungles, multiple habitats, and even high-altitude paramos of 3,000 to 5,000 meter volcanoes are what make Colombia one of the richest environments for birds on Earth. We'd experienced just glimpses of this before on a several-month road trip through beautiful Colombia in 2021, and knew that with some research, preparation, a few more locations, and quite a bit of driving, we wanted to return to do a proper birding trip, or as much as two enthused beginning birders can do. And while we've seen and heard and experienced our fair share of birds around the world, I do still consider myself some type of beginner, and that's sort of what makes birding so much fun, and something we've sort of fully embraced the past several years or so. You never run out of things to learn, places to explore, and birds to see for the very first time. Say what you will about the handful of stereotypes you definitely run across when discussing not only birding, but birders themselves. It really does create some secretly sought out quiet moments, help you understand the greater aspects of the unique ecology and the places you may be visiting, and can be the catalyst to supporting local businesses and livelihoods, finding and experiencing new cultures, and meeting some of the coolest people around who also genuinely love and protect birds. I think anyone can say with confidence, Colombians especially, take a truly unique level of pride not only in their environment, but in fully embracing the ideas of working with nature to really create unbelievably special experiences and places, combining the power of nature, care for sensitive species, and hospitality in a way that for us will keep us coming back year after year to a place that can be uniquely and accurately described as quietly legendary. Sort of the perfect phrase that sums up not only our experiences birding in Colombia, but also kept coming back and ringing true even while researching and making this video. So we're going to talk about some of the best places we went during a couple weeks after sweating it out in the jungle of the Colombian Amazon. We wanted to hit the cooler and refreshing Central Highlands and bird mecca, Manizales. Taking some crazy roads, hiking some trails, and going to some unreal birding lodges and generally seeing some freaking cool birds. We also want to talk a little bit about why Colombia and Manizales especially is such a birding hotspot and share some photos. To be fair, Colombia is not for the faint of heart. Get ready for some winding roads, making some educated guesses on directions, give yourself several days to adjust for daytime reservations and guides, and be ready to switch it up and go with the flow when things pop up. Because if you've traveled at all in general, you may already know these things happen, and you kind of got to just roll with it most of the time. But one word that comes back again and again for us in Colombia is magic. Every single place you go, or small stop off, little ecopark, lodge, trail, there really just does seem to be some bit of magic waiting to reward you in color, light, and beauty every time. Colombia is a special place to say the least, and we're going to try and list some of our favorites from this couple of weeks in and around Manizales. Something like 560 bird species can be observed in the Manizales region alone, and it's also one of the best places in the world to see tons of endemic species. With insane topography, you can go from 5,000 meter volcanic high altitude paramo to low-lying forest jungle valleys all in the same day. And this level of multi-habitat creating microclimates with intense rainfall mixed with intense amounts of sunlight create the sort of permanent spring-like conditions, which fuels ridiculous amounts of biomass and supports the building blocks of life with vegetation, fruits and insects, and sets the stage for there to basically be no sort of off-season for birds. They truly are everywhere, all the time, almost everywhere you look. But the first place we looked was right outside where we landed in Manizales at a sweet little spot on one of the dozens of highland ridges overlooking a classic mix of forested field and farms right near our Airbnb. A very cool little place called Chalet San Luis. Even just at our Airbnb, it was practically impossible not to constantly carry my camera around as you realize just the sheer number of species. From the daily greeters, transients, local hangouts, busybodies, and foragers. These sharp habitat transitions from forest to paramo, farmland, grassland, and secondary growth, all within minutes, are what make this place unique, and you really have to keep your eyes peeled every day just to try and see it all right outside your door. Don't get me wrong, Colombia does have its different challenges geographically, but it's exactly this steep terrain, high mountains to low river valleys, and dense vegetation that create a bird paradise. Even right in the city of Manizales, we wanted to get our bearings and maybe satisfy our impatience to get birding right away. So we headed to our first stop, and absolutely free 99 in Ecoparque, Los Alcázares, Arenillo. This city park sits right in the heart of Manizales and is an intricate network of winding trails and walkways that eventually give way to a small amphitheater and open fields, and even for a very simple outing, we spied some pretty fantastic initial finds here. Estamos en Ecoparque, Arenillo, Alcázares. It's like a little perfect, really cool little bird park. Totally free, easy to park, like right in Manizales. And we really had no expectations about being here. And there's just a few trails. It's like 34 hectares, which is pretty big. And we're just doing, it closes in like an hour and a half. So we're just doing like a few little trails. And we already saw a motmot and a scarlet-headed barbet. And so pretty good luck, but we probably will end up coming back here, so. What is sort of known as this urban edge biodiversity, you really can't ever underestimate that there may be some tiny amazing sighting just feet away from where you parked, and even more so just a few blocks from busy little crazy urban centers. The forest and greenery creeps right into every space in Colombia, and it doesn't take long for the trees and vegetation to reclaim any space they've been cut from. But Colombia also has some of the lowest rates of deforestation compared to other Andean regions, and even the coffee farms, private landowners, and local people have blended many of these landscapes into conservation-minded pockets of habitat, and the bird guides and deep national pride contribute to support likely hundreds, if not thousands, of people's livelihoods through tourism, culinary experiences, guiding, hospitality, and transportation. Even heading back every day to our rental, we were picking up little bits of information here and there on which birds visited and frequented down to the species of tree, the time of day, and until we thought we had exhausted just how many species we could see from our own temporary back and front yard, they never seemed to stop coming. Even some familiar faces of the insane migratory birds all the way from North America. With WhatsApp messages sent out and at least a few days ahead of scheduling, we always aimed to set out as early as we could in the morning and try and be back before dark. Our next stop on the list, and one of the highlights, was a place called Paraiso Verde, literally just a few minutes drive from where we were staying, although on the other side of the small mountainside. Paraiso Verde was another representation of the many small gems of the jungle you can find for amazing lodge stays, short trail systems, and species differentiation just from another type of habitat zone. The fact they had ice cream and a pretty sweet little lounge area is just icing on the cake, and really that exact magic we always think of in Colombia. With most of these lodges and stays, we found it really is pivotal to do some research online or stop in and try and connect via WhatsApp to schedule either day reservations, sometimes short guided tours, or understand what services they may offer. Basically every one of these places is gated for security, and it's always better to plan ahead at least a day or a few days and show up early, and be prepared to spend most of the day and afternoon there. We found it's always worth the extra time to move slowly, move quietly, take in all the sights and sounds, and as always, take breaks from gazing upward for hours at a time. And props if you do some workouts trying to hold up heavy lenses. Once the days start to blur together, you know you're pretty much doing it right. Stop number 3 for us was one lodge for the record books, and this particular day started out with a bit of an adventure. With the heavy rains in this zone, sometimes dumping inches of rain in the rapidly changing mountainous climates, we ran into a bit of a roadblock with some small landslides and bamboo stands blocking the road. But calling ahead, having our appointment and contact, the staff was more than ready, and the guys from Tinamu Birding Lodge were just around the corner to help chop up our jungle toll bridge, and we got to birding with Fernando right away. Tinamu Birding Lodge is a highly renowned and incredible lodge sporting some unbelievable food, ridiculously friendly staff, and an understatement to say some pretty incredible birding. It never gets old sipping coffee and trying to count more than a dozen hummingbird species you can come across, as well as the countless and colorful others passing through on their daily bird chores. Find somebody who looks at you like this saffron finch looks at himself. The day was long and unreal here, but one of the highlights for sure, and really Pokemon-esque finds, was the golden collared mannequin. The color on these little wonders is enough to keep you awestruck, but it's their demeanor that's even more captivating. Their chill little attitude and really relaxed disposition is what lets you really just study them closely and just enjoy being captivated by such a palette on a special little bird found only in Colombia and parts of Panama. One thing I found super interesting about these little birds is that their taxonomy is also under review and being researched still. Major bird checklists and authorities differ in how they classify the golden-collared manakin and its close relatives. The IOC World Bird List, Clements Checklist, BirdLife International, and the American Ornithological Society consider the golden-collared manakin a distinct species with 4 subspecies. But the South American Classification Committee currently treats all 4 of these subspecies as subspecies of the widespread white-bearded manakin, essentially lumping them into a single species rather than separate ones. So really, some experts think the golden-collared manakin is its own species, while others think it's just one variant within a broader species complex. Some of the reasoning behind this is that hybrid zones can exist, especially between golden-collared manakins and white-bearded manakins. So typical identifiers like color and behavior could make birds look like one species, but actually have the genes of another. These evolutionary boundaries just aren't clear or neat in nature, and with so much abundant species diversity and life, it's sort of representative of what makes Colombia so interesting for birds and wildlife in general. The rest of our day at Tinamu continued to just be ridiculous, as we spied Andean motmots, nightjars, and another highlight, potus, resting in the canopy after long nights of flying with their mouths open like whales to gather insects. We spent the rest of the day into the afternoon walking the extensive trails, heading down the road, and listening to some of the insane soundscape this bird haven creates.
Was cool. Estamos yendo de Tinamu. And we had a really good birding day. We saw puffbirds and hummingbirds and caracaras and a blue dacnus. We saw all kinds of stuff. We saw 2 potus. What else did we see, Barbara? We saw like 10 motmots.
You know all the names.
They never lose their specialty. Tinamu Birding Lodge. Muchas gracias. Super bien. Now we gotta survive the drive home.
The next stop on our birding madness journey was really sort of a dream for us, somewhere we had only hoped to add to our list. But blasting out the messages, we were able to schedule about 5 days in advance, and the day had finally come for us to drive a couple extra hours up into the cloud forest and that famed perfect Colombian blend of farmland, forested fields, and higher elevation, chilly montane habitat for one of the premier birding destinations near Manizales, Hacienda el Bosque. With an absolutely crazy pairing of fine culinary experience, very professional guides, and unbeatable location, Hacienda el Bosque, we would sort of say, is practically a type of pinkies out birding experience. And for us, just considering ourselves still learning, enjoying, and taking in our beginning stages of our birding affliction, if you will, we felt like it was truly a dream, and the species you can see here are like witnessing a real-life curated exhibit. fact that so much care and attention has gone into creating such a high-quality birding experience still blew us away, but really is reflective of that national pride, professionalism, and blend of ecological awareness and influential integration between farmlands and reserves that Colombians do so well. Among the outrageous amount of lifers we saw here, there are always a few that stand out, and one in particular for me was the sword-billed hummingbird. Sword-billed hummingbirds could be the most interesting hummingbird on Earth, and that really is saying something. These almost made-up looking little birds actually co-evolved with the exact flower they prefer, and that no other bird can make use of. Some Andean flowers like the Passiflora mixta have tubes so long that only sword-billed hummingbirds can pollinate them. This is one of the most extreme examples of co-evolution on the planet. Sword-billed hummingbirds have the longest bill relative to body size of any bird on Earth, and they even perch with their bill elevated because they can't even walk correctly without it getting in the way. Sword-billed hummingbirds also sleep with their bill pointed straight up. Seeing these little marvels, they really appear as the perfect example of how nature works together to create insane relationships between plant and bird, resulting in extreme specialization, and at the very least are just amazing to observe. After getting such a front row seat to the hummingbird show, we'd practically forgotten the other famed star of Hacienda el Bosque, the gray-breasted mountain toucan. Colors, curiosity, and a bit of kookiness, and one very cool bird. Gray-breasted mountain toucans seem to swarm our social media, and really once you see them and the charisma they sport, you can sort of understand why. Gray-breasted mountain toucans, as with the many species here, really thrive because of the extreme elevation gradient throughout Colombia, and especially the Central Highlands. As the day passes from morning to evening, the temperature fluctuations and even microclimates create the perfect habitats they prefer for foraging, and in some places in Colombia, if you're able to stay long enough, it's crazy how many patterns you can start to observe, where it's almost like clockwork when certain species show up almost the exact time every day. Hacienda el Bosque is also world-renowned for their incredible endemics, and it was mind-blowing to think in the same day we saw the crescent-faced antpitta, equatorial antpitta, gray-breasted mountain toucan, sword-billed hummingbird, yellow-bellied chat tyrants, masked flower piercers, hooded mountain tanager, and gray-browed brush finches. The food made the experience even more unbelievable, and we had made simple day reservations and didn't even stay at the lodges. Once we had made our way back down the mountain and carefully followed our map back to the chalet, we couldn't even believe the footage and photos we had come away with. Our days were just blitzing by, and every single afternoon we returned, always at least trying to aim to be back at the chalet before dark, we still had hours of backyard birding left that never disappointed. What turned out to be one of our last birding lodge days, but by no means any less impressive, was with Juan Manuel at Bosques De La Pradera. Another incredible bird lodge replete with coffee in hand and an amazing array of species, all within a regenerated forest with trails, a flowing creek, lodging, orchids, and great conversation. Bosque de la Pradera is another impressive effort by a local Colombian to replenish the deforested area, create bird habitat, include amazing hospitality and culinary experience, and blend it all together for one complete experience, either for multiple days with lodging options, or like us, reserving just a full day itinerary. What made Bosque de la Pradera even more unique was Juan's unbelievable diligence in curating likely one of the most impressive collections of orchids, not only in Colombia, but holding several endemics and being one of the only places on Earth you can see some of the rarest and tiniest orchids that exist today. Each specimen a tiny work of art requiring insanely acute conditions with humidity, temperature, host plants, timing, light, and ventilation. The icing on the cake for our experience there also was Juan's otherworldly cactus collection, as thousands of incredibly ornate, tiny, and special cacti were lined up by the hundreds, requiring special care to prevent the dense rainfall, manage soaring temperatures, and create one of the craziest cactus collections we've probably ever seen. And just the skill level and dedication it must have taken to harbor some of the most delicate plants on Earth requiring vast amounts of humidity right next to some of the most delicate plants on Earth requiring complete temperature and arid conditions was shocking. But not surprising, as here in Colombia, the passion of the people for professional level caretaking of so many things natural, plant, and bird alike is just unparalleled. Saying our goodbyes, we prepared for one of our full final days in and around Manizales, and it was really on a whole nother level. Quite literally and figuratively, as we ascended to the headache-inducing, lung-destroying, oxygen-scarce volcanic swampy highlands of the Paramo. The Paramo is the Andean highlands between 3,000 and 5,000 meters above sea level. These neotropical sponge-like landscapes are completely unique and vital water regulation and storage, even supplying water to massive cities like Bogota. The prehistoric-looking vegetation, called frailejones, high biodiversity, and extreme daily temperature shifts made the Paramo yet another insane aspect of Colombia's unreal biodiversity, and of course in the midst of all of it, there were some amazing little birds to see. We were seeking out some of Colombia's most unique habitat, and the birds that have found their perfect niche surviving these exact conditions perfectly. One of those in particular was the Buffy Helmetcrest, one of the most special and unique hummingbirds on planet Earth, giving us an incredible show as he fed, displayed the unique adaptation among all hummingbirds with functioning actual gripping legs. The Buffy Helmetcrest has specialized elongated legs in order to cling and hang on to one of its main food sources, and in between resting in the rough shrubbery and displaying its dazzling head and face plumage, Buffy Helmetcrest hummingbirds could be one of my absolute favorite hummingbirds ever, and spying this little guy for hours is literally a global destination, and we met some really cool guides with clients from Taiwan, Japan, and even parts of Europe who had ventured the entire globe just to see this magnificent little hummingbird. And not gonna lie to say, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves having sought out and achieved such an amazing sighting, and feeling very grateful for the experience provided by such a magical natural wonderland as Colombia. Especially in places like this, the Parque Nacional Los Nevados. With our last couple days before flying back through Bogota to Buenos Aires, we knew we had stumbled across something completely special. As always with adventuring through South America, maybe birding was the reason that we got out to explore this amazing little country and a whole other aspect of Colombia, but it always leads to new friendships, incredible wild experiences, dozens, if not more than 100 new species on our birding list, and really just memories of a lifetime. We don't always get to plan a trip to Colombia every single year, but it doesn't take long before we know we have to find a way back and see even more of what Colombia has to offer in its pure magic.